Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Psychic in the City podcast. I am everyone's favourite psychic in the city, Sean McGill, and if you don't know that already, then what are you doing here? I'm obviously just kidding. Welcome. And I know I'm extremely late with the podcast this week, to be totally honest. I was away spending time with the family today and thought, you know what, I will get on this whenever I get on it a little bit later. So, it's such beautiful weather we're having in Belfast here, and I will let you know now as we're starting that I'm sitting beside the big double windows in the living room, and there may be the chance of a lot of background noise coming through, and if that happens, well, it's the summer and kids make noise at the end of the day. But for those that don't know me, and those that do, hello, welcome. Like I say, I'm Sean McGill, also known as Psychic in the City. I am an international TV medium, international best-selling author, and I am an RTT therapist. So those are the kind of things that I do. I wrote a book on the tarot. I'm working on a few other things at the moment, and each week I'm hoping to bring different topics, different ideas under the metaphysical umbrella as to what may be the best thing to be bringing forward to chat about. And today I want to talk all about spirit guides. Spirit guides, who has them, who wants one, how do we get one, what's yours called, what's mine called? Well, that's none of your business really. But that is the topic of today's discussion is going to be all about guides. Because I do tend to find that guides is a little bit of a misunderstood topic, is in, you know, who they are. And I do seem to find a lot of people have very limited knowledge or a very narrowed perspective on spirit guides, as I firmly believe, I know that each and every one of us, mediumistic or not, has a guide that it works with us. And I know that I've also came across people in my career and my development and my unfoldment, the whole goddamn thing, that have said, no, only mediums have guides. Why would someone that isn't a medium have a guide? And I think that's a very bit of a bullshit answer, to be honest with you, you know, very like, oh, look at me, I'm a medium, I have a guide and you don't, which I don't like that, because us as mediums, we're very much normal people. Well, I say normal very, very loosely, we're people. And of course Spirit is going to want to work with absolutely everybody, you know, in whatever capacity that it is. Now, to clear up, you know, you're obviously not going to have a guide that's going to help you with mediumship if you're not a medium, but you know, you will have guides that will be there to work with you, to help guide you and direct you through life. And whether it be for someone to help you in the terms of, you know, getting through family situations, or like that master guide, that one that's always going to be there, you know, to oversee things. I firmly believe everyone has one of those, and in my years of doing readings and being able to perceive the spirit energy that you would find in and around my clients, I always pick up a guide, and it's actually a small majority of my clients that I would read that are mediums or developing mediums, and they would be people that would be coming for like spiritual assessments, so to speak. But everybody has that guide and influence. Now, I do want to say, first and foremost, let's clear up a little myth about spirit guides. Your mum is not your spirit guide, your dad is not your spirit guide, your granny's not your spirit guide, your granda's not your spirit guide. Do you see where I'm going here? Your family most certainly are not your guides. Now, that does not mean that your guides are not going to be a guide and influence on your life. They very much are, but they are not a spirit guide. A spirit guide is a bit more spiritually evolved, a soul, a being that is more highly evolved in the spirit side than sort of just us here, that, you know, they have no need to come back to live a human experience, maybe at all, or maybe just for the time being, because they've already experienced so much, and maybe they've done their soul's mission on earth at one life many lives ago, you know, so now that their job is to help guide us and help direct us through life. And you know, that's kind of why, you know, you'll hear a lot of mediums say things like, oh, my guide, big chief running water, and this one and that one from, because they tend to project that image into our minds of what we would perceive as being a more spiritual being, i.e. a Native American or a monk, or, that type of thing that we would perceive as humans, because we need to put everything into little boxes, don't we? When they're not necessarily that. I'm not saying that they have never been that person in that life either, but if we tend to look at it from a point of view that whenever we're in spirit, we don't look like the way that we do. I want you to look at yourself right now, look down, look at the mirror, even put your hands out in front of you and look at your hands. Like, they're not going to be what you see in spirit. We're going to be our soul, that massive energy. But it is us as humans that we like to, put a name to people or spirit people and get a description of them, and very much understand that these guides are, it's the Native American, or because it makes us feel safer, I suppose, and it helps us feel a lot less crazy. Although I will say to you, I did have a guide that worked with me not a very long time ago. And he came in and he was just this massive light, this mass of energy. And I just thought to myself, because everything sort of works a little bit different from me, I just thought, oh my goodness, I'm absolutely losing it here. That's it. I'm going to have to retire. And if you know me, you know that I try to retire an awful lot. Like, great. So I have my guide. My guide's called Light, because that's what he is. But it kind of worked for me in my mindset as well, the way I think about things and the way that I see things. And then I was having a reading with quite a remarkable medium, Glenn Edwards, and God rest his soul, he's now back in the Summerlands. And he did actually confirm this for me, that my guide, and he described the hue of light that I see, and was able to tell me that he worked with me. So that kind of confirmed it for me. And I've never really had the Native American or anything like that. And my first guide that I ever met, he was just sort of called John. And he just looked like a guy, to be honest. And, I suppose it is what it is at the end of the day. But every experience with your guide is each experience. And, what I'm trying to say is to keep a very much an open mind. Don't be thinking that you have to find this tall and mighty Native American as your communicator, and you have to have this big Roman warrior as your doorkeeper or a protector guide. And, you most certainly do not. They can come and project that image into your mind in any way that, may have been a life that they lived, or a way that is something that we can understand. Because my point of view is that, we are not our physical bodies, especially in spirit. And I really believe that, even whenever I'm working with spirit in a mediumistic sense, that, they're coming forward and they're projecting the image in my mind of what they used to look like when they were here. Not that they're really standing there like that. But I think I've got off topic, and that's not like me at all, is it? Imagine there must be something up with me if I'm going off on one. But yes, our guides have different roles, I suppose. That would be a good thing to talk about, wouldn't it? The different roles of guides. And now, as someone that is a spiritual teacher, a spiritual mentor, that runs an accredited training program on mediumship. So I tend to think that, I do have a good understanding, if I've been internationally accredited in my teaching abilities, that if I'm looking at guides from a mediumistic point of view, and from that mediumistic point of view, then it is very much, we will have different guides depending upon what it is that we're doing. So if we are beginning our journey, we're going to have that master guide that's going to be there with us. And I tend to see him or her, but mine is a him, so I'll probably just say him while I'm discussing this. That's the guy that helps me with my communication. And I don't mean my sitting stuttering as I'm recording this podcast. He helps me with my communication with spirit and my one-to-ones and my demonstration. And he's also the guy that I would sit and blend with. So that would be the communicator / that master guide that tends to be there with you for the entirety of your life, I suppose. So I know that I just want to acknowledge that that would be one role. And then we're going to have a guy that would be called like the gatekeeper or the doorkeeper. This is like the guy that would oversee everything that's going on, almost like a protector. But I hate using that word because I know that we don't need to be protected from spirit. Like, as much as there's arsehole people, sometimes it can get spirit that can get on our nerves as well. But he would be the one that I would be like, oh, if I say I'm demonstrating, or maybe I'm doing a one-to-one reading and there's too many spirit communicators talking to me at once, and like it's too much. He's the one that would sort of get them in line for me and get them sorted out, and check over everything. So there we're starting to build up a good wee team. They've got me and the two guides, or you and the two guides. But say you want to go down the healing route. Well then, you're going to have a guide that is going to become that guide that facilitates the healing with you, that can either teach you how to heal or give you that inspiration during healing sessions to provide healing to yourself and other people. So you're going to have that healing guide. And then, say you're going down the trance route, you're going to have your trance communicator, and if you go down the physical route, then you're going to have the whole host of other guides that are going to be working with you depending upon the work that it is that you're doing. So it's not just like the one guide that does the whole thing. And our guides will change. Oh, there's also the teacher guide. There would be the guide that would be there to help teach you and to help guide you. But what I always make very, very, very clear to my students is, you don't have to listen to every single thought that goes on in your mind whenever you're sitting with spirit, because it's not necessarily spirit. What I mean is, in the early days, our own mind can come in, especially if you're not disciplined in what you're doing, or like you're sitting under the influence of alcohol or narcotics. Speaking from personal experience, I know how long it takes for those things to leave your system for you to become a clearer channel for spirit. So say you party all weekend and then you meditate on the Monday and you think you've got all this wonderful information. Well, I can tell you right now, it's tainted based on you changing up the chemicals in your body through to the narcotics or the alcohol that you've put in. So don't always listen to everything until you've got really, really into it, and without the shadow of a doubt that I'm a clear channel, I know what I'm doing, and I know that the information is coming from spirit because I've sat for years and I fully understand that my teacher guide will be teaching me things from my level of understanding. Like, your guide is not going to come in and start telling you, oh, the earth is flat. No, actually, the earth is on the back of a giant tortoise that's floating through space. Spirit don't do stuff like that. They really don't. But they will teach you things that you already know deep inside of you. And I'm not really opening up a flat earth discussion, guys. For those that are listening, I don't give a flying shit at whether they come in and they say this, or they tell you that aliens exist, or what colour you need to dye your hair. Guides don't care. They're here to help you on your spiritual journey, and that teacher guide is to help bring you to the truth that is already lying within you. They're not to teach you anything that you don't know, i.e. the earth is actually on the back of a turtle that's floating through space supported by dolphins. That's not the type of information that comes forward. It's to teach you about your own abilities. It's to teach you about your own soul power. All those wonderful, beautiful different things is what Spirit is teaching. And your guides will grow with you, because a lot of the times your guides are learning off you as much as you're learning off them, and it's becoming a great journey of unfoldment and of development. So you got to really understand that, whenever you're working with them, there's going to get a certain point where there's nothing else they can maybe teach you or work with you. Say your healing abilities level up, or say your mediumistic abilities go into the new level, a higher level, a deeper level. Sometimes you need a different guide that's going to be able to work with you and contribute something to you in such a way that that guide that you currently have, or the guide that you had, cannot do, in order for you to level up and maintain that. So guides will change, not very often, to be honest with you, so don't be thinking it's like gonna be on a 6 month rolling contract, a new guide in and a new guide out. And then getting to know them, it's a journey, it's a discovery. And I love teaching about guides, and I do have to say, keep your eyes peeled for some training on spirit guides coming up very, very soon. If you're on my social media or on my mailing list, I will absolutely let you know about this free webinar that I'll be doing. So do make sure that you do follow me for that, where I'll hopefully be delving into a bit more detail on teaching you how to connect with your team, because it's a beautiful journey. And I have my students, or some of them would have been saying to me on my mentorship, well, who's my guide? I'm like, figure it out yourself. Why would I want to take that fun away from you? And then, like I say, it's who your guides want to project in. And sometimes you're going to have like guides that are going to step in for you just to help, just to be there, just to offer that little bit of energy and that bit of support that you may need, that you mightn't even know that they're there. So, our wonderful spirit team is always going to be around us, wanting to work with us. And, I'm not really a fan of the term guide, because that makes it sound like we're lost, and I probably should have started with that. But it's a very commonly used phrase within the movement. And I like to see it as it's a spirit team, and I am the boss at the end of the day. I'm the boss everywhere I go, aren't I, guys? And it's kind of like I'm the CEO, and well, that's just my mindset on everything, really. I forget where I was going there. I was like, oh, shiny, ooh, distracted. Yeah. So your guides really do fulfill a purpose, and like they don't care about what diet you're on or what color your hair is. And I've seen a lot of that in my time. Like I really have. My guide says I only have to use this type of hair dye, and your guide does not see your physical body. They don't care. Your guide sees your soul. Spirit sees your soul. They don't care what you look like or what you're wearing, as long as you're nice in what it is that you're doing and the work that you're doing and the messages that you're delivering. As long as that's coming from a kind, compassionate, loving place, your guides don't care what you eat. Although I do have to say, like, my abilities with my guides have got so much clearer and so much stronger from I've stopped eating meat or animal products. In fact, my mediumship got much better from that as well. But there's me sidetracked as well. Yeah, I've seen all this. My guides say this and that, and no, they really haven't. They don't care, to be honest with you. You gotta live your life, and your guides understand that. The fact that you may have blue hair and tattoos will not make you any less of an ambassador for the spirit world than someone that, has blonde hair and no tattoos. Do you know what I mean? Because it's also they're like the judgment side of things like that come from the physical, not the non-physical. Like they come from our ego mind, not from our soul mind or our soul counterpart. It is very much the human aspect that judges. Spirit will never judge you. Like, look at me, for example. I'm very heavily tattooed. There's very little places on me, and I would consider myself a good ambassador for spirit. And I'm trying to say that without sounding big-headed, but I would consider myself a good ambassador for spirit. I love to demonstrate, I love to teach, I love to share messages of love and hope to other people. And just because I am very heavily tattooed and also pierced in quite a lot of places as well, that does not affect my ability in any way, shape or form to communicate with spirit, And they don't seem to care in any way, shape or form. And in fact, the majority of the spirit people that I work with are very much on the same wavelength as me. And I know that I'm moving a little bit more into the mediumship side of things, but it's spirit communication at the end of the day, isn't it? Whether it be with our guide or not, And I think it's a really wonderful thing that we learn to work with our guides. Like, I have a fantastic relationship with my guide. Like, I call him my roommate, but that's only because I live alone. But I have a fantastic relationship with my guide, and I think the reason as to why my relationships with my guides have always been so strong, and it seems to work in a way that other mediums say it doesn't work that way, it's because I had years of self-development before I even joined a development circle. So I had no restrictions or no limitations placed upon me and how I should work with spirit. So then I joined, like, what you would call probably formalized training, and like was doing readings and all at this stage, but whatever. And then I'd be like, oh yeah, my guide helps me during this, and they give me information like, oh no, it doesn't work that way. And I'm like, funny that it's been working this way for years for me. So if it's working that way for me, maybe you want to look into that and see if it works for you. Because they're very much going to give you information. Like, my guides point out things to me in tarot readings all the time. How my guides taught me to connect with them during a psychic reading, so that the information's there and I hear and see and feel things from them. I just know that it's them. So if you take away those limitations, those restrictions that are placed upon you, and you have no expectations, you will have no limitations and no boundaries placed upon you. And you can always ask your guide when you're sitting with them. You can say, just show me, just guide me, teach me how to be a better ambassador. And just see what they show you, because that's their job at the end of the day. You don't, like, the person that you're learning mediumship from, for example, like say you're on my accredited training program, what you're learning from me is all the things that I've learned from my own research or from other people that work for me. Plus all the things that I can remember as well that don't necessarily work for me but work for other people. So, say you've got a book on mediumship or psychic work or whatever it is, it's like, what I'm trying to say is your work is going to be very unique, and the things that people teach are the things that work for them, and that doesn't necessarily make it right for you. It may make them a fabulous, remarkable medium, but it mightn't do the same for you. And that's why, teaching is such an important aspect of mediumship, and I find my teaching is very multi-leveled, multi-layered, because I understand that just because something works this way for me, it mightn't work that way for one of my students. So I have to give them various different ways of doing things and understanding, and hopefully they're able to find their own way. So don't be letting, just because someone's a working medium, don't be letting that open or restrict your work. If you want to know that your guide is there and he's giving you information or she's giving you information whenever you're in a psychic reading, do you know what? I believe you. I believe that is happening with you because you're experiencing it. So yeah, brilliant. I'm so happy that it's working for you. And don't let other people say, no, you can't have a guide because you're not a medium. And it's like, say fuck off. Like, who are you talking to? So, yeah, that's that one. Like, and guides. And I do hope you have enjoyed it, guys. And I want you all to have a wonderful week, and do check out my website, psychicinthecity.co.uk. That's my social medias as well, Shan McGill or Psychic in the City. Do reach out. There's spaces for readings, I have workshops, there's information about my mentorship. All that will be linked in the description below. And if you like this, please do like it, share, subscribe. I really appreciate it, guys. And like I say, have a fantastic week, and thank you so much.